Here I go, here I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go, here I go.
Before we get into today's episode of the pod, you guys have to subscribe because I'm looking at you and you're not subscribed to the channel yet. And you have to hit the notification bell because you're not going to know when I post if you don't have notifications when I post. Make sure to like the video, you guys, so I know you guys are enjoying these episodes. Make sure to follow my social medias. I will pop them on the screen so you can stay up to date with everything to do with this podcast. And then don't forget to check out the Spotify version. The link will be in the description for that as well. Finally, I am a sports writer, so make sure to check out the take.sport.blog so you can read the best sports articles ever. You will not regret clicking that link, so make sure to click that link below. But let's go ahead and get into today's pod, you guys. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Take Podcast. I am your host, Jackson Burleson, of course, and in today's episode, we're going to be bringing you some NFL draft action, specifically quarterbacks, because we have a lot of great quarterbacks in this year's 2023 NFL draft. Now, if you're asking me who the number one overall pick in this draft should be, it should be between Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson. Now, if you're asking me, I think Anthony Richardson is the safer pick because of this. Anthony Richardson is 6'4", 230 pounds, can sit in the pocket, make the tough throws, take the punishment from these defensive linemen. That's the main difference between Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young. Now, don't get me wrong. Bryce Young is a great player. He's a special talent. He's very elusive in the pocket. He can extend plays like no other quarterback in this draft. He just makes things happen. He just makes the special plays look easy. That is one reason to take Bryce Young. I mean, he's a game changer. Bryce Young is a game changer. But the more NFL-ready quarterback is Anthony Richardson. I mean, he just has the size. He can deliver the ball in the perfect spot. He has elite ball placement. Anthony Richardson, he has only been playing 2 years of college football, has had little experience in big games, which is one of the main concerns with him because he doesn't have experience. Bryce Young, he's been in the spotlight in college football. He's won a Heisman Trophy. He's had phenomenal games since being at Alabama. I mean, he just literally fills the stat sheet at any given moment. I mean, this guy had literally over 40 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions in his Heisman Trophy season. I mean, the only reason that Bryce Young's stats were down this year was because they were playing another quarterback alongside him in some games, which I don't know why you're doing that. If you're Nick Saban, first of all, like, just ride with one guy. Like, that's the thing that's like weird about, like, you know, players coming back, you know, having a big season in college football, and then the coaching just tries to throw another guy in there. Like, why are you throwing another quarterback alongside the Heisman Trophy winner who's coming back for his junior season? And by the way, I just want to touch on something really, really quickly. I think the rule to have to play 3 years of college football to be eligible for the NFL draft is not an appropriate way to let guys stay in college football, because college football, I get it. You know, it's time. It's the increment of time where you get to develop your body, develop your skill. But if you're ready to go to the NFL, you should be able to go whenever you want. Like, look at Caleb Williams, for example. Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy this year. He was the best player in college football. I mean, he is Kyler Murray 2.0, and he is ready to go to the draft as a sophomore. But you look at Anthony Richardson, he's technically a sophomore, but he redshirted. You know, you should be able to go whenever you want. Like, Bryce Young could have went to the draft last year. CJ Stroud could have went to the draft last year. Same with Will Levis. Will Levis could have went to the NFL draft last year. Now, Will Levis is also another guy in this draft that has size and can deliver shots. He can literally take so much punishment because of his size. Like, I think Bryce Young definitely has a lot of upside. I mean, if I had to give him a comparison, like, I would definitely say Bryce Young is very similar to Russell Wilson just because how he can get out of situations in the pocket. Like when he's got the pocket collapsing on him, defenders all over him, he can literally squirm his way out of it. I mean, that's a special characteristic, and not every quarterback in this draft has that ability. Not every quarterback in this draft has that ability. And Bryce Young, he has elite accuracy with the football. He can throw the ball deep. I mean, this guy can launch the ball 50 yards easy. Easy. Like and outside the pocket too, when he's rolling out. Like, that's the things that Bryce Young can do. But I think Anthony Richardson is going to be the number 1 overall pick and should be the number 1 overall pick just because he is a safer pick, like I have said. But it's going to be very interesting. I think, in my opinion, Anthony Richardson is similar to Deshaun Watson because he has elite speed when he gets out in the open space. He can run the football. He's honestly very hard to tackle when he's in the pocket. He can stand in there, slip defenders, dodge. I just really, really, really like Anthony Richardson's game. Now, his stats don't blow you out of the water for a sophomore season. I mean, 53% completion percentage, 2,543 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not bad, but you got to remember this. Florida was beating some very good teams at the beginning of the year, like the Utah Utes, who are ranked 7th in the country, a very experienced team that has been through a lot of adversity in the last 2 years. Their program has been coming up, but Anthony Richardson had some pretty big games, and like Florida State at the end of the year, that was a pretty big game for him, in my opinion. I mean, he was launching dots, just absolutely throwing the ball downfield, showcasing what he can do. Now, I know it's not a big time game. He didn't live up to the expectation of going to the playoffs and being a very highly ranked team, but he still displayed a lot of great moments when he was at Florida for a very short amount of time. But SEC quarterbacks, man, like we have got three quarterbacks in this draft that could go in the top 5 from the SEC. That is honestly incredible to think about. Like, the SEC is the best conference in all of college football, and this draft is going to show for that because there's going to be a lot of top talent that are going to come to the SEC. And it's not just quarterbacks. I mean, literally, look at any other position on offense, defense. Nolan Smith, an edge rusher from Georgia, SEC, an absolute monster. Like, then you've got Hendon Hooker. He's got potential, man. I know he's projected to be like a 4th round pick, but honestly, I give him Vince Young comparisons. Vince Young literally has so many similar things to his game that Hendon Hooker has. I mean, he can run outside the pocket. He can keep looking downfield. He has a great arm. He can just keep extending plays. But the thing is, he has this spin move when he's running. He has this spin moves in the pocket. I just love Hendon Hooker. Now, I know he tore his ACL, which is, very unfortunate because it does affect, your speed. But Hendon Hooker doesn't really need his speed. I mean, he's just got to be able to throw the football, stay in the pocket. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft that won't make an impact right away as a rookie, but for the future, man, there's no telling what the league is going to be looking like in the next 5 years. There's going to be so many great quarterbacks for years to come. I mean, this draft is going to pave the way for a lot of teams in these next couple years. Think about it for the Panthers. The Panthers have a chance to start over. They've had so many guys in and out of quarterback there. Sam Darnold was the guy. Baker Mayfield was brought in last year. He was supposed to be the guy. They previously had Cam Newton, who is honestly a very difficult player to move on from, but this is the first time the Panthers are picking since they picked Cam Newton at number 1. This is the first time since they've been picking at number 1. So this is a very big pick for the Panthers. And I think Anthony Richardson just looks great in a Panthers uniform. He is going to come in there. They just picked up Miles Sanders. He's going to have a fresh start, brand new young receivers. It's going to be a learning experience for Anthony Richardson, but I think he's going to have a big rookie season. And I think Anthony Richardson is going to win Rookie of the Year, plain and simple. Plain and simple. He is going to be the guy to make an immediate impact right away. Now, let's say the Panthers pick Bryce Young, which is, supposedly what is going to happen. Let's say Anthony Richardson drops down to like the Colts. Man, the Colts are going to look good with Anthony Richardson because they already have a team ready to win. They just had Matt Ryan in there. They previously had Carson Wentz. Before that, Phillip Rivers. I mean, this team has been trying to win for a long time. They have a great defense led by DeForest Buckner. And then they also have Jonathan Taylor, the best running back in football. I mean, that team is ready to go. Dante Moncrief. I mean, they have a lot of great players on that team. But it's going to be very interesting. And where's CJ Stroud going to go? Because I've said this before. I think CJ Stroud could go number 1 overall. I've said he will, but I'm changing my mind here because I don't know. Just CJ Stroud's upside just doesn't seem as great as Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson. I mean, plain simple. I mean, I can think of 2 other guys that have a bigger upside than CJ Stroud that are going to get taken later in this draft. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Hendon Hooker, as I mentioned, Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett beat CJ Stroud in the college football playoff. Stetson Bennett, I get it. He's 5'11". He's a 5th-year senior. He's like 25 years old. I understand that. But he has experience in the spotlight. And when you have experience in the spotlight, you're a back-to-back national champion on the best college team in the nation 2 years in a row. Like the story of Stetson Bennett, him coming up, him being a walk-on, not playing at all his first 3 years, like just him taking the opportunity and embracing it and just not looking back. Like he will go late in this draft. Stetson Bennett will probably be a 5th round pick, but I guarantee you guys 5 years from now, people are going to be looking back and saying, man, why did we not pick this guy? Because a lot of players always are underestimated because of their size, because of how long they played college football for. I mean, it's just, there's so many different things that a player can get criticized for, and it can be off the field stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to go out and perform. You have to be mentally ready to play the game. And this is a very important NFL draft. Now, I know since the NFL draft and everyone's kind of wondering what's going on with my Dallas Cowboys, the flag is right behind me. Well, apparently we're riding Dak. We're going to see what's happening, but I've heard rumors that we are going to take a quarterback, and Max Duggan needs to be that next guy. I think Max Duggan sitting behind Dak Prescott for a few years, learning the system, getting integrated into, how to be a pro, an NFL player, just sitting behind Dak, a guy who has a lot of experience. I think it could be very good for him, and he could be our franchise corner piece in a couple years. So, but it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what happens with this draft, because a lot of implications are going to be in this draft. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that are going to have to fall into place, but this is a great start for a lot of teams. But let me know what you guys think about this NFL draft. I really want to see Anthony Richardson go number 1 overall. That's just my opinion. That's what I want to be seeing. You guys have a great rest of your day. I am your host, Jackson Burleson, and this has been another episode of the Take Podcast.
Yeah. Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my heart up on ice.